Hey everybody, how's it going? This is another edition of Legends of 40K, and what I'm doing here is talking about another Imperial Guard squad upgrade special character for the veteran squad troop choice, because I think one thing that I believe is, I think it's unique or pretty unique to the Imperial Guard is having a squad upgrade special characters, but different types for the same squad. So you have two for veteran squads, the infantry platoon has two, the command squad for HQ has a few, and I think that's it for the multiples. But still, that's, I think, pretty unique to the Imperial Guard. I can't think off the top of my head other codices out there that have a squad that has multiple choices for it, a squad upgrade special character. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought I'd talk about the other choice you have for veteran squads, which is Gunnery Sergeant Harker. I think he has a longer name or something like that. It's Stone Tooth Harker. Okay, Gunnery Sergeant Harker. Which again replaces the veteran sergeant in one of your veteran squads. But one thing with this squad upgrade special character is if the squad includes Gunnery Sergeant Harker, it may not take the Grenadier's Doctrine. So it limits you a little bit, but that's fine. He's 55 points to replace the sergeant. So as a sergeant goes, he invests on a pretty close for points and pretty expensive, but when you look at other squad upgrade special characters, they're pretty cheap. Gunnery Sergeant Harker, 55 points. Weapon skill up is a skill of 4. So both weapon skill and ballistic skill are 4. Strength of 4, which is nice amongst Imperial Guard. Toughness of 3. 1 wound. Initiative of 3. 2 attacks. Leadership 8. 5+ save. If his leadership seems low, that's the standard leadership for veteran sergeants of that squad. So it's normal, basically, for this codex. He's unique infantry. He's got flak armor, close combat weapon, frag and crack grenades, and payback, which is the heavy bolter you see here. He has special rules: relentless, feel no pain, and Katashan devils, or however you want to pronounce it, Katashan. So let's see what he has in terms of things that are unique to him. He has special rules, like I said, feel no pain and relentless. They apply only to Harker and not other members of his squad. Important to note. And Katashan Devils, or Katashan Devils, Harker and his squad have the infiltrate, stealth, and move through cover universal special rules. So that's pretty cool. So before I go into how I would use him and what I think of his entry, let's go into what I think about his model. His model is pretty, as far as special characters go, is plain Jane, if you want to use that expression. Pretty much, he has his own model, which is nice. It's pewter, obviously. I will start off by saying the Katashans, I'm not a big fan of the model. Not him, but Katashans overall. The kind of big Rambo slash, well, Rambo's really the big one, slash Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator type of look. I'm mixed with. I don't see why they gotta have, you know, no shirts or, you know, short sleeve wife beater type shirts on all the time. I mean, it kind of goes with the shtick of being the muscle man, but overall, I'm not a big fan of that look. I think it's a little silly, and it makes them almost look like orcs. But I will say that Harker's model is, I would say, it's done in a way where the proportions don't really look that silly. It's pretty simple. I mean, as far as the complexity comes in painting camo on his pants, if you wanted to do that. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward model. And it looks pretty much like they have him in the art, only the art has the headband. And really, you can't go wrong with that. He's got his kind of unique looking heavy bolter called Payback, with the belt-fed ammunition, and it looks a little bit leaner, a little bit more stripped down than the standard heavy bolter, a little bit. And yeah, not much to say about the model. It's a good pose for what he has, which is a big ass weapon. So really it conveys kind of like his enthusiasm for war and having the weapon up and screaming, or that could just be his face. But I can't fault it for being a bad sculpt, because it's not necessarily a bad sculpt. I'm just not a big fan of the Catachan or Catachan, however you want to say it, look. I just feel it's a little bit too much like a bunch of Rambo clones, and quite frankly, that's not my cup of tea. But it can lend itself to being a good, being pretty unique looking when you paint them up and add your own flair and embellishments onto the models, in terms of maybe making like a ghillie suit for stuff, or putting moss on like the boots, or making the boots muddy and whatnot. They're jungle fighters, and that's cool. I'm just not a big fan of the muscle look, as I said, probably for the 14,000th time. But his model is good. I like the little pouches he have over like a bandolier style thing he has with the pouches on it. I've never seen the model in person, but I assume he has a big honking knife behind him, like a machete type thing, hence this close combat weapon. And Payback's right there, so that's cool. What do I think of his entry? I think his entry is solid. Like I said, for Imperial Guard, these Sergeant upgrades are kind of expensive, considering if you look at the Sergeant which they replace, he's basically factored into squad cost already. And then even if you could give him two of the most expensive things, he's 30 points. If you want to think about an upgrade there, so even still, Harker is 25 more points than that. But when you look at the grand scheme of other special characters, he's not that expensive, really. Like I was talking about Lamartes and Arjak, for example. Those guys were really expensive. He is not. These guys are not. They can kind of fit well in a economical army. So I can't really fault him for that. The no Grenadiers thing fits in with the fluff of the Catachans, and look at him. He doesn't really have armor on, so that fits in well. I really can't. There's nothing I would really change on him. All the rules he has pretty much fits in for his fluff. He's really strong, so he can carry around the heavy bolter no problem. The Relentless is nice. It lets him move and shoot with the rest of his squad, making him mobile instead of static. So nothing to really fault him on there. Overall, I'd say he's good as far as what his point cost is. So how would I use him? Well, first let me say I have a friend who runs Imperial Guard, or is making Imperial Guard, and he has a squad with a count stats of him in it. I think it's a count stats of him. I'm pretty sure, just because they're not Catachans. And the way he runs it is, he runs them with demolitions, so they have the melta bombs and the demolition charge. I don't know if he gave them the cloaks. I don't remember. Basically, what he does is he outflanks with them. The squad, I believe, is full of plasma and Harker. I can't remember exactly, but outflanks in the hopes of getting on the board side you want, and also get behind enemy lines and harass that way, and it works pretty well. So you could do that. Another thing that's he's good with is fire support. Keeping him on the table and having mobile fire support. Remember, he is not bogged down by the heavy bolter. He can move and shoot it, no problem. So really, you can infiltrate him in or whatever into some cover, make use of that, and give fire support and move if you find the enemy putting too much heat in that area, like going too close, getting too, depending of course what you're fighting. You can move him. You can move him through cover, which he has moved through cover special rules, so that's nice. and give fire support that way. A mobile heavy bolter and having either grenade launchers or whatever other weapon you're gonna have for your veteran squad is very nice. So that's definitely something to think about. Whatever you do with him, make use of his rules. Definitely infiltrate him if you're not gonna outflank. Definitely utilize cover, and you'll maximize it considering you have a squad with 5+ armor saves. So cover is really where it's at for you and the squad. Unlike Baston, he doesn't really lend much to the squad. Like Baston lets him regroup, and Baston can do an order. Harker's more there as like a brute, if you want to think of him that way. He's got the same ability as a sergeant in terms of having the leadership and everything. So he's not like you're missing out. You're not missing out on anything a sergeant wouldn't already have, except for different war gear. But what you gain is fire support. You gain a pretty tough little character. Granted, he only has 1 wound, but he does have feeling of pain, which makes him a little bit more survivable than standard. And his strength of 4 means in close combat he can kind of hit it if he gets a chance to, comparatively to his Imperial Guard brethren. So that is nice. I wouldn't recommend close combat, but I would recommend shooting the hell at your opponent. I mean, he's got a heavy bolter, so why not? I would say he'd, unlike Baston, which doesn't really gear your squad towards any particular thing, with what Harker has, it kind of steers your squad to dealing with infantry / heavy infantry / hordes. I wouldn't really give sniper rifles here. There's no point in having them if you want to be mobile, because you just counteract Harker's rule of relentless that he has. Melted guns, I wouldn't, and flamers fit in with the Cadishans. And melted guns are good, they're close range, but I would suggest really either a grenade launcher or a plasma gun here for fire support. You're going to want to have, in the event that you're not moving, something that can shoot more than 12 inches. If plasma scares you too much, then I would say grenade launcher or flame would be the way to go. Only because the melted gun at that range, yeah, you can take out tanks then with that squad, but that's not really what this squad is. A little bit more geared towards infantry killing. Could he deal with a light vehicle? He has a heavy bolter, so he could glance armor 11 or pen armor 10. I would say he really teams up well with the grenade launcher, mobile shooting, unless you're going to use him for that very much get in there and hunt specific squads. And plasma guns will work well too if you plan to get that close and unload with everything. But I personally would keep him farther back, and the grenade launcher being able to move and shoot at longer than 12 inches would be a real big asset to that squad. But really, it's up to you. Some people don't like the grenade launcher because its shots aren't that great. But really, I would say Harker lends more towards a fire support squad, close in or farther away depending on your preference, but more towards infantry and less towards vehicles. And that's how I utilize them personally. I think if you like Cadishans or just like what he's got, he's definitely cool. He can fit into a variety of armies that counts as. I mean, AdMech, you can make him fit in easily with having like a bionic attachment to hold a weapon or something like that, just as an example. But he can definitely not just be a Cadishan guy. He can make it count as, or if you play Cadishans, well, here he is. I mean, and that's pretty cool that you got a Cadishan character and troops as well as HQ. And I think there's one elite, but we'll get to that another time. Anyways, that's pretty much it for Gunnery Sergeant Harker. A cool model, I will say. I do like the very much Rambo style of holding a big weapon. Again, I'm not a big fan of the no shirt brute, super muscular guy, but it is cool looking. Suitably dynamic while being slightly static, if that makes any sense. And I would say it's worth checking out if you think mobile fire support with a heavy bolter is what you're looking for in a veteran squad instead of going after tanks or whatever. So anyways, until next time, take it easy.